It all began not with a palace or a castle, but with a mansion. A lavish 22-acre estate tucked away in Beverly Hills, owned by a man Meghan Markle had never even met. That man was Tyler Perry, a self-made billionaire, a media mogul who built his empire piece by piece with grit and hustle. So when Harry and Meghan set fire to their royal ties, walking away from their titles, security, and much of their support system, it wasn't a royal residence that opened its doors to them. It was Perry's. And he didn't just offer them a roof over their heads. He offered them protection, security teams, 24/7 privacy, and maybe the most valuable gift of all, a silent yet powerful message. I've got your back. In Hollywood, where connections usually come with conditions, that kind of unconditional support is rare. Yet Perry stepped up without hesitation, without a deal on the table. This wasn't some transactional gesture. It was personal, public, and risky. He had no obligation to them, yet he let them into his world. Then entered Oprah, the ultimate power broker, a one-woman institution whose name and entertainment carries more weight than most major studios combined. Her 2021 sit-down interview with Harry and Meghan wasn't just another ratings grab. It was a cultural moment, a televised reckoning. Oprah handed Meghan something no PR agency, no image consultant, and no brand partnership ever could: legitimacy. That conversation reframed Meghan's public image, from divisive duchess to mistreated survivor. A woman battling not just the royal establishment, but the machinery behind it. Millions watched, billions reacted, and almost overnight, the narrative shifted. Between Perry providing shelter and Oprah controlling the story, Harry and Meghan didn't just get support. They got a lifeline, a reset button, a rebrand wrapped in luxury and security. But fast forward to now, and all you hear is silence. Perry and Oprah? Quiet, no public shoutouts, no social media nods, not even a casual congratulations on Meghan's latest ventures. And when Oprah, a master of carefully curated friendships, goes silent, it's rarely by accident. As for Perry, he did speak, indirectly. While accepting his B Lifetime Achievement Award, he delivered a line that sent ripples through the room. You can't build a palace on unpaid bills. Bills. No names were mentioned, no direct shots fired. But everyone in Hollywood knows, sometimes the words you don't say speak the loudest. And now, those close to Perry have started whispering. There are whispers now that Perry didn't just lend out his home. He might have footed the bill for much more. Transportation, staff, even flights. And through it all, not a single public thank you. No podcast mention, no docuseries shout-out, not even a passing tag on social media. In a town where every move is watched and every gesture counts, gratitude isn't just polite, it's currency. Because in Hollywood, acknowledgement isn't free. It's part of the deal that keeps reputations alive. And when you conveniently forget the person who helped rewrite your story, that's not an oversight. It's a message. This was never just about money or courtesy. It's about Hollywood's true currency: loyalty, perception, and influence. And now, if you ask around, there's a new word quietly shadowing Meghan's name: liability. Not just for what she's done, but for what people are afraid she might do next. In that world, silence, it screams louder than betrayal. Meghan Markle, once the poster child of two of the industry's most powerful allies, is beginning to look like the guest nobody wants back on the list. Because in Hollywood, loyalty has a short shelf life. One minute you're the prized partner, the next, you're the cautionary tale. And that's the shift insiders are starting to see around Meghan. No scandals, no fireworks, just something far more ominous: quiet. People aren't saying her name anymore, and when they do, it's in low voices, followed by a nervous chuckle or a swift change of subject. Once upon a time, the spotlight chased Meghan. Now, it's sidestepping her entirely. Executives who once saw her as a headline-grabbing disruptor, now they're calling meetings just to say one thing: pass. Pitch decks with her name on them barely make it past the first glance, discarded before the second slide even loads. Low voices, followed by a nervous chuckle or a swift change of subject. Once upon a time, the spotlight chased Meghan. Now, it's sidestepping her entirely. Executives who once saw her as a headline-grabbing disruptor, now they're calling meetings just to say one thing: pass. Pitch decks with her name on them barely make it past the first glance, discarded before the second slide even loads. One studio executive didn't mince words: she just doesn't sell anymore. It's not that the public despises her, it's something worse. They're over her, exhausted by the endless dramas, the recycled victimhood, the constant rebranding attempts. And in an industry that feeds on momentum, there's no faster way to kill a brand than with fatigue. Behind the glossy exterior, things are getting turbulent. Multiple sources close to Archewell, Meghan and Harry's nonprofit, describe the atmosphere as tense. Some even call it chaotic. This was supposed to be their signature venture: a sleek, forward-looking charity powered by royal prestige and Hollywood glitz. Instead, it's starting to feel like a corporate ghost ship, drifting with no clear direction. Key staffers quietly exiting. Projects announced with buzz, then quietly shelved. One insider didn't hold back, calling it a PR machine masquerading as a charity. And the numbers? They tell the same story. Bloated consulting fees, vague programs, and a track record thin on tangible results. For a couple who preach transparency and impact, the optics aren't just bad, they're damning. And when the finances start to look murky, people start questioning everything, including the motives. Donors are pulling back. Partners are thinking twice. What was once the Archewell glow now feels more like a red flag. And then, quietly simmering under it all, is the Tyler Perry problem. Insiders say his frustration isn't really about the money. It's about respect. This is a man who built his empire on loyalty. A man who launched entire studios when no one else would even take the risk. So when Tyler Perry opened his home and his world to Meghan and Harry, it wasn't just an act of generosity. It was a personal endorsement. But Perry, like Oprah, is a strategist. And when he feels burned, he doesn't make a scene. He makes an exit. That pointed line he dropped at the BET Awards, "You can't build a palace on unpaid bills," wasn't some offhand remark. It was intentional. A message disguised as poetry. Those close to Perry say he felt brushed aside, even disrespected, by how swiftly he was forgotten the moment Meghan and Harry regained their footing. No thank you calls, no check-ins, no public acknowledgements, just radio silence. And in Hollywood, silence is rarely empty. It's where assumptions thrive. Meanwhile, Oprah has gone quiet too. Her production company, Harpo, hasn't uttered a word about Meghan in over a year. That might not seem significant to an outsider, but in Oprah's meticulously curated world, that kind of distance is no accident. Her brand is built on integrity and perception. If a story starts to crack under pressure, she doesn't wait to see it collapse. She steps away before it does. What makes all of this more striking is the alignment. This isn't just random distancing. These are the very people who lifted Meghan up when she was at her lowest. Tyler provided shelter. Oprah provided a platform. And now, they're both watching from afar. No headlines, no dramatic unfollowing, just a quiet, mutual shift. The energy has changed, and in Hollywood, energy is everything. Everyone feels it. Agents, producers, PR teams, stylists, and when they sense the tide turning, they don't linger. They pivot. Because in this town, your value is tied to your latest win, and Meghan hasn't chalked up a win in a long time. Their entire brand was built on reinvention, a fresh start, breaking away from the monarchy to write their own narrative. But at some point, reinvention starts to feel like a loop, a familiar storyline in new packaging. There was a podcast teaser, a vague lifestyle brand announcement, a few curated photo ops, but none of it is sticking. The magic is gone. The story feels unfocused. Even her supporters are starting to ask, what is Meghan Markle trying to be now? An activist? A media mogul? A lifestyle icon? There's no clear answer. Just a fog of rebranding attempts that aren't quite landing. And while the public wonders about the brand, insiders are questioning the person behind it. Meghan has always been known for her iron grip on her image. Every photograph vetted, every sentence rehearsed. But that level of control, it's beginning to clash with the very professionals hired to guide her next chapter. PR teams, branding consultants, even former close allies, many have reportedly hit a wall. One senior publicist even bailed on a major project, dismissing the environment as image fatigue. Translation? The act is wearing thin. And there's another perception growing behind the scenes. Meghan builds bridges, only to burn them just as quickly. Look back at the 2018 royal wedding. The guest list was a headline itself. Oprah, George and Amal Clooney, Serena Williams. Less family, more Hollywood power. At the time, it felt fresh, a global, glamorous reintroduction. But hindsight has a sharper lens, because many of those glittering connections, they're gone, quietly faded away. That shine Meghan once carried, it's dimmed. No Vogue UK covers, no Met Gala cameos, and in studio boardrooms, her name no longer excites. It barely registers. Not because she's polarizing, but because she doesn't move the needle. And in Hollywood, that's worse than being controversial. It's being irrelevant. This isn't just a West Coast problem either. Across the pond, the British media that once breathlessly chronicled her every move has largely moved on. The coverage that remains, it's perfunctory, disinterested. Less scandal, more shrug. Because the drama, the exclusive interviews, the bombshells, they've all become predictable. And predictable doesn't sell. But here's the part Meghan likely fears most. She's no longer driving the narrative. She's chasing it. When a story leaks, her team scrambles to respond. When a headline spikes, they're already behind the curve. It's a reactive mode. And in public relations, reacting means you're losing. Meanwhile, Perry and Oprah remain publicly silent. And that silence? It says everything. In a world where proximity is power, being quietly dropped by your most famous allies is worse than a scandal. It's a slow erasure. There's no formal announcement, no cutting statement, just a shift in energy. Meetings that don't get scheduled, calls that go unanswered, doors that stay shut. Meghan's not canceled. She's just adrift, fading, quietly, but unmistakably. What began as a fairy tale, royalty, rebellion, reinvention, now feels like a story stalled at the crossroads. And the unspoken question hanging in the air, what happens when the spotlight moves on and never circles back?